Hi again, everybody. My name is Greg Anderson, and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. And today, I want to talk about an experiment I plan to do starting tonight for adjusting to daylight saving time. Now, when it comes to adjusting for daylight saving time, moving the clock ahead once a year and then in another time in the year moving it back again, I don't worry about the clocks very much because I've got most of my clocks and watches will make that adjustment automatically. They have built-in receivers that will automatically change when the time is right and keep themselves perfectly accurate, synchronized to atomic time. That's not a problem. And the watches and clocks that don't do that automatically, it's kind of fun for me to go around the house and just quickly make those adjustments on the night when that is supposed to happen. Okay, but what is a problem is making my body adjust to the new time. So how can I minimize kind of, that effect on my body, making that adjustment to the new time? I have to change when I wake up, when I eat my meals, when I go to work, when I come home, when I go to bed. All those things are kind of, they can drain you a little bit physically. How can I fix that? And so I thought this time, today's date is February 17th, which means I'm 20 days away from the daylight saving time change on March 9th. What if, starting tonight, I move my clock, not all of them, but maybe just a few reference clocks, ahead by 3 minutes? And that would include the clock I use that tells me when it's time to go to bed and when it's time to wake up. I set that clock ahead 3 minutes tonight. And then the next night, another 3 minutes for a total of 6. The next night, another 3 minutes for a total of 9. You see where I'm going with this? Every night, consistently, 3 more minutes until after 20 nights, I've gone ahead the full hour. Now, I'm not fooling myself. My brain is smart enough to know that, well, this isn't the real time, but I'm telling my body it's time to adjust, most especially when we sleep. So that sudden drastic change is not something I'm going to feel this time. It's going to be a very gradual change. Like, for example, I use kind of the analogy, what if we were talking about a speed bump in the road? Okay, so as you pass over the speed bump, that's going to be, say 2 feet, and it's 1 foot tall. So if you're going at full speed and you hit that speed bump, that's significant. You're going to bounce yourself. You might even break something on the car if you're going that fast. So the speed bump is meant to slow you down. As far as daylight saving time, analogous with the speed bump, we don't want to feel that speed bump when it comes to physically our state of sleep, our quality of sleep, all that. So what if we were to modify the daylight saving time speed bump, and instead of having it 2 feet as you pass over it, that lasts for 2 feet this direction, what if we extended that 20 times? What if we made that 40 feet? So it still goes up 1 foot in the very middle of it, but it takes 20 feet to get to that middle and another 20 feet to get back to the regular elevation there. We would hardly feel that, maybe not feel it at all, and we could keep going at normal speed, which kind of defeats the purpose of a speed bump, but it would make it easier for the car to drive through that. So what I'm saying is, let's leave speed bumps alone, but as far as our own physical adjustment to daylight saving time, let's extend that 1 hour speed bump into 20 times the duration. So does that make sense to you? So again, if you wanted to be super diligent about this, you would go to bed 3 minutes earlier every night, consistently another 3 minutes earlier until it adds up to the full hour. And you would make sure you got up 3 minutes earlier every morning. I know it's tempting to ignore that part of it and say, well, I know intellectually that the alarm clock is gone off 3 minutes earlier or 6 or 9 or 12 minutes earlier, so I'll just keep hitting the snooze bar. So you kind of defeat the purpose if you do that. But if you're going to be diligent about it, not only are you going to adjust the time you go to bed, but the time you wake up over the course of 20 days. So at the close of that 20-day period, you're going to feel like, I'm already adjusted. It was a very minimal, physical effect on me, and I'm ready to go on the new time. I don't know. See, a lot of people think that when you move the clock ahead 1 hour, that's a very difficult adjustment to make because suddenly you're out of sleep for an hour. You got to get up earlier. It just, and whereas they think that the adjustment back to standard time in the fall is easy because you get to sleep in an hour, and that's an easy thing to do. But I'm not so sure how easy that really is, because what you're effectively doing, yes, you get to sleep in an extra hour, start your day an hour later, but that also means suddenly the schedule, everything else you're doing in the fall is 1 hour later. You're getting up later, you're eating later, you're going to work later, you're staying at work later, and you're staying up before bedtime 1 hour later. I think that's a difficult adjustment too. So, but I think it's harder to, if I tried this same experiment by setting your clock slow by 3 minutes until you reach the full hour, that would mess things up. Because obviously I can't tell the school where my kids go to school, or the place where I work, or the businesses where I go. I can't tell them, hey, everybody, adjust your clocks 3 minutes different for 20 days. They're not going to do that. I work at a TV station. We're not going to tell our viewers, hey, tonight's newscast will be 3 minutes earlier, and then tomorrow night's will be 6 minutes earlier, and the next night will be 9 minutes earlier. That's not going to work. So basically what I'm doing by making this adjustment, where I'm going to get up 3 minutes earlier every morning, that gives me more time at home before I leave for work every morning. Now, if my day is rigidly timed, and that might goof me up, I'll say, well, by the middle of this, I'm up half an hour early. I got nothing to do for half an hour here at home. Well, maybe I could adjust in some of the things I would have done normally in the evening. I can do those. We'll see how this works. I'm determined to be diligent about this and to try this experiment and see how it works and report to you. You're welcome to report to all of us that are watching this video in the comments. What do you do? Do you have a trick that, have you tried something like this before? Is there some other way that you adjust yourself physically that makes it easier to get used to daylight saving time changes? Or do you just have to, you've tried other things and they just don't work, so you just kind of have to wait until the day of the change and just adjust by an hour and live with it. And, maybe you feel groggy or weak, or, if you get headaches, whatever, for a few days until you fully adjust. I don't know. But I'm going to try this experiment now for the next 20 days, and you can follow along. Now, I'm going to use certain clocks and certain watches to help me reference the time, so that I will obviously, of course, know what the real time is versus my adjusted time that's going to change by 3 minutes a day. I'll make another video to kind of show you which watches I've decided do the best job of that for me, and the clocks and stuff. For the most part, it's going to drive my family crazy if I start changing every clock in the house ahead by 3 minutes over the next 20 days. So there will only be a few, very few clocks that will make that adjustment. There will be dozens of other clocks in the house where my wife, for example, will be able to look around and know what the real time is. And then she will know, except for this reference clock here, which doesn't agree with all the other ones in the room, then the ones that are all in agreement are the ones that are the real time, and this is my reference clock for the new time. And we'll see how this experiment goes. And of course, I will report the results to you. But I will encourage you to, as soon as I get the other video, I'll add it to the description of this video. I'll add a link so you can watch and see which of my lucky watches I've decided to use to help me through this experiment. And that will be very soon on yet another episode of the Good Timekeeping Show.